Okay, academic service learning is an experiential form of learning that connects the student and the subject matter and community and the concept of service. So it's in some ways kind of like a field experience or an internship, which you might have in an academic course. But the emphasis on service and the connection to the community is part of what makes it service learning. So each semester I typically teach 3 sections of a required advanced writing course, required for all students at the junior level in the College of Arts and Sciences and in the College of Education. And typically students have already had a good bit of writing courses and they don't necessarily want to take another one, but they're required to. And so I have found that it works well when you teach writing around a theme. So for a while now I've been teaching this class around a theme of literacy and learning and education. And so we do readings related to literacy and learning, and we think and write and talk about these issues. Since it's an English class, the literacy theme also lends itself really well to service in the community. So this is the 4th, 6th, I forget. Since fall of 2008, I've had my students, they have had the option to do a service learning project as part of the course, working at a literacy site in the community. We started in fall 2008 at Berkeley Middle School in an 8th grade and then a 7th and 8th grade communication arts course, where we went in and we actually tutored students in writing. And then we've worked at several other literacy sites. Right now my students have a choice of 2. One is Girls Inc., which is a wonderful after-school program in Normandy, and my students who go there help the girls with their homework. The other site is Ready Readers, which is a charity in St. Louis that places volunteers in Head Start preschools to read to the little kids. So I have, those of my students who choose to do this can pick one of those options. They go out, they spend a certain number of hours on site, working with people, reading to the little kids or helping these girls with their homework, and then they write about it. So they are seeing exemplified some of the literacy issues that we've been reading and talking about in class. The writing grows out of their service learning work. My theory is that if you're absorbed in a compelling experience, that you will have a lot to write about and maybe you'll write better. And my goal is not just to connect my students to the community, but to help them write better. It's a writing course, so I have to keep first and foremost in mind that there has to be an academic goal here that the service learning is meeting. And so it's meant to give them something so amazing to write about that they will write better. I've always done volunteer work in the community and found it incredibly meaningful. I taught for a long time at William Jewell College in Liberty, Missouri, which is a small private college that has a major ethos of service, and a number of faculty members there were doing service learning. I was very interested in what they were doing and never had the opportunity to implement it there. But when I interviewed for this job here at UMSL in 2007, it actually came up in the job interview, and I said, you know, something I'd really like to try to work into a course, especially since here we are in a big city. And I moved here to take this job, and I thought, okay, this would be a really neat way for me to get to know my city, connect my students to it, and see what we can learn about the city, about the programs here, about the people, about the problems, you know, about solutions people are trying to solve, social justice problems. And I was just inspired really by my colleagues at Jewell, with whom I'm still good friends and still in touch, and we still actually work together on planning service learning. I was inspired to try it. It takes a little bit of leap of faith. Part of our education involves a sense of responsibility to give back to the community. I consider myself very privileged to have a lot of education. My students too. You know, they've worked hard to get it, but I think it's still a privilege and an honor to have a university education. Do you take your diploma and go to work every day and go back to your house in the suburbs and just keep up your lawn? Or do you maybe connect to the world and try to give something back and maybe help people who haven't had some of the opportunities that you've had? So we talk about things like this in my class. And my students are really on board with it. they begin to realize that, whether or not they do service learning right now, once they have time, maybe once they graduate, they want service to be part of their lives. And I think that's one of the things that can grow out of service learning, and understanding that this can actually be a way of life. I think we have a great opportunity here. We're an urban university. We are largely a commuter university. We have neighborhoods around us that people drive through with their car doors locked. And they get to UMSL, and they take their classes or they teach their classes and they get in their cars and they go home. But the people around us are our neighbors, and I would like to think that the neighborhood would look at UMSL as a neighbor, as an entity that just isn't a bunch of stuck-up people with degrees, but people who really are interested in them and interested in making a connection to them. And that's one of the reasons why we do so much work in Normandy, because it is the closest area to UMSL. I don't like the line between the university and the community, that town-gown separation. I like the idea, maybe this is idealistic, that people in the neighborhood can consider the UMSL campus part of their neighborhood.